Las Vegas, a city that dazzles like a promise etched in neon, often conceals its deepest sorrows behind the glittering facades and the ceaseless hum of slot machines. It is a city built on dreams, daring risks, and the intoxicating allure of endless possibility, but for thousands who navigate its streets each day, those dreams have been postponed, shattered, or quietly stolen. Here, hope and despair exist side by side, separated only by the thin veil of wealth and spectacle. This is not a story of statistics or abstract numbers that can be easily ignored. This is a homeless documentary, a raw and unflinching narrative that brings to light lives too often overlooked, voices too often silenced, and humanity too often dismissed. It is a story that demands attention, urging us to look beyond the neon glow to the fragile, unspoken realities beneath the illusion of glamour. The Las Vegas Strip pulses with relentless energy, a dazzling artery of lights, music, and motion that seems to promise fortune at every turn. Millions of visitors pour into its casinos, theaters, and luxury hotels, their faces glowing with excitement as the clang of slot machines mingles with laughter, the chime of jackpots, and the soft hum of endless opportunity. Luxury cars glide past opulent resorts, their tires whispering over polished streets that seem almost unreal in their perfection. Yet just a few blocks away, this glittering facade dissolves into stark reality. Behind the neon and the sequins, on the streets, underpasses, and narrow alleys of Las Vegas, thousands struggle simply to survive. Their days are marked by gnawing hunger, relentless fatigue, and the gnawing uncertainty of whether tonight will bring shelter or danger. The illusion of glamour does not extend to them. They are invisible to the crowds that pass, silent witnesses to the city's brightest illusions. The homeless navigate the city carrying everything they own: crumpled clothes, tattered blankets, personal belongings stuffed into plastic bags or overflowing shopping carts, searching desperately for scraps of food, drops of water, or even a fleeting sense of safety. As night falls, the challenges do not disappear, they transform. The desert winds cut like blades, cold and unforgiving. Shadows conceal threats of violence, and the ceaseless cycle of wandering in search of a place to rest continues, night after night, under the indifferent glow of a city that barely notices they exist. In this contrast, the Strip reveals itself not as a symbol of freedom and fortune, but as a mirror reflecting the deep divide between wealth and survival, a divide that few choose to see. Housing crisis, a city of contradictions. Las Vegas has always been a city of extremes, a place where glittering towers and dazzling shows coexist with shadows that most prefer to ignore. Its economy thrives on tourism and entertainment, yet beneath this glossy surface lies a housing crisis that quietly devours the lives of its residents. The average rent for a modest one-bedroom apartment has climbed above $1,300 a month, a sum far beyond the reach of many service workers, earning barely $17 an hour. For every 100 low-income renters, only 14 affordable units exist, a stark ratio that forces families, individuals, and seniors to confront impossible choices: to go hungry or to sleep on the streets, to work long hours, or to risk survival itself. In a city built on luck and daring, this desperation becomes a playground for opportunists. Scammers exploit the hopes and fears of those already teetering on the edge. Fake landlords advertise apartments that do not exist, collect months or even years of rent up front, and vanish without a trace, leaving their victims homeless and heartbroken. Rye, a former casino security guard, recalls the cruel reality of such exploitation. I paid them for a room I was promised, but when the real landlord arrived, I had 2 weeks to leave. I lost all my money. His story is not an isolated case. It is a vivid illustration of how the vulnerable are preyed upon in a city that celebrates risk and reward. In Las Vegas, the gamble is no longer confined to the casinos. Sometimes, survival itself is a bet few can afford to lose. This crisis is a harsh reminder that behind every flashy hotel and neon sign, there are human lives struggling to find stability. The city's extremes are not merely aesthetic. They are a daily reality for thousands, a cruel contradiction between the promise of fortune and the daily fight for a roof over one's head. Mental health and addiction. Invisible battles. Beneath the constant neon glow of Las Vegas, beyond the shimmer of slot machines and glittering marquees, another, less visible struggle quietly unfolds. Nearly 2/3 of the city's unhoused population wrestles daily with the heavy weight of mental health challenges, anxiety, depression, PTSD, often compounded by substance use as a desperate means of coping. Yet for so many, the help they need is out of reach. Clinics are overcrowded, waiting lists stretch for months, and services are often fragmented or inaccessible, leaving individuals trapped in cycles that seem impossible to escape. Angela, once a casino employee with steady work and familiar routines, embodies the harsh realities behind these statistics. Her voice, calm yet trembling, carries the weight of loss and trauma. I've lost everything: my partner, my family, my job. I've been beaten, robbed, and forced into choices I never imagined. What used to be survival now feels like punishment. Her words are not isolated. They echo the silent cries of countless others who face judgment instead of understanding, blame instead of support. This is the hidden face of Las Vegas, one that rarely appears in tourist brochures or glossy magazines. A homeless documentary captures these stories not to elicit pity, but to illuminate the profound depth of human endurance and the urgent need for compassion. It exposes the systemic failures that allow vulnerable individuals to slip through the cracks, highlighting how addiction and mental illness are not personal failings, but signs of a society that too often turns away. Through narratives like Angela's, we are reminded that beneath every struggle lies resilience, and beneath every despair, a human being still capable of hope, if only someone chooses to care. The Mole People, lives beneath the surface. Far beneath the bright neon lights and the constant hum of the Las Vegas Strip, an unseen world exists in the city's flood control tunnels. These tunnels, engineered to channel away the sudden desert flash floods, have become an unexpected sanctuary for nearly 1,000 people who have nowhere else to go. They call themselves the Mole People, carving out makeshift homes where no home was ever intended, transforming cold concrete into fragile spaces of safety and survival. In this subterranean world, time seems to flow differently. Sunlight rarely reaches these hidden corners, yet hope persists in quiet, stubborn ways. Children dream of returning to warmth and stability, adults cling to memories of family, and even in the darkest corners, the human spirit finds ways to endure. Despite the absence of light, the Mole People maintain dignity, community, and a vision of a future they may yet reach. They cook small meals over improvised stoves, share clothing and blankets, and leave messages or prayers on the walls, a testament to their determination to remain human in a world that has largely forgotten them. This hidden society is not a spectacle of tragedy. It is a portrait of resilience. They navigate a reality that society rarely acknowledges, yet their lives pulse with vivid humanity. Every gesture of care, every act of adaptation, every whispered story of longing or hope becomes a lesson in courage, ingenuity, and connection. These narratives are central to this homeless documentary, reminding viewers that survival is more than mere existence. It is an act of defiance, a testament to the enduring strength and spirit of people who refuse to be erased. Daily struggle, heat, hunger, and vulnerability. Life on the streets of Las Vegas is a relentless, unforgiving battle, where survival is measured in hours, not days. In the blistering summer, temperatures climb well above 110 degrees Fahrenheit, turning asphalt into a searing oven and scorching the skin of those with nowhere to seek refuge. Shade is a rare commodity. Water is precious and often exhausted long before the day ends, and exhaustion settles into bones and muscles like an unshakable weight. Many collapse from dehydration or heat stroke before nightfall even arrives, their bodies betraying them in the harshest of ways. When the desert sun finally dips below the horizon, relief is fleeting. The nights are cold and biting, dropping into the 40 seconds, forcing the same individuals who baked under the sun to shiver beneath makeshift tents, cardboard mats, or beneath overpasses that offer little protection from the wind. Hunger gnaws relentlessly, and every moment carries the pressure of finding sustenance, water, and a safe place to rest. Yet, the dangers are not merely environmental. Theft, harassment, and the constant threat of violence shadow their movements. Vulnerable populations, women, children, and the elderly, often form small groups for protection, clinging to one another in fragile solidarity. Amid the hardship, however, flickers of humanity shine brilliantly. Strangers share their meager food, repair torn tents, or offer silent comfort to those whose bodies and spirits are breaking under the weight of relentless adversity. These quiet acts of compassion and resilience are the heartbeat of the streets, the invisible threads that weave a fragile sense of community. They are reminders that even in the most unforgiving circumstances, hope can persist, connection can endure, and human dignity can be maintained. It is this spirit, the courage to survive, the capacity to care for others, even while struggling oneself, that lies at the very core of every homeless documentary, inviting the world to witness, understand, and respond to economic injustice and systemic failure. Las Vegas is a city of extremes, a place where billions of dollars flow through casinos, hotels, and entertainment venues every year. Yet, for the very people who keep the city running, kitchen staff, housekeeping crews, waiters, security guards, the glittering promise of prosperity is largely out of reach. They toil long hours under fluorescent lights, face grueling schedules, and yet find themselves unable to afford even the most basic housing in the city they serve. The contrast is stark and impossible to ignore. While the Strip thrives on the spectacle of wealth, the city often prioritizes profit over the well-being of its most vulnerable citizens. Low wages, rising rents, and insufficient support systems create a landscape where survival is a daily gamble, and entire families are left teetering on the edge of homelessness. This is not a question of laziness or lack of ambition. It is a reflection of systemic inequities that shape the very structure of opportunity and access. Every corner of Las Vegas, every casino hallway, every hotel corridor hides a story of this imbalance. Behind the polished floors and glittering marquees are workers scraping to cover rent, risking eviction, and watching neighbors and friends fall into homelessness despite years of dedication. This systemic failure, repeated day after day, creates communities caught in cycles of poverty and vulnerability, trapped in a city that celebrates fortune while overlooking those who quietly sustain it. In a homeless documentary, these realities are not abstract. They're human, lived, and urgent. They remind viewers that the fight against poverty is not simply about charity, but about confronting structural failures, demanding accountability, and imagining a city where prosperity is shared and every life is valued. Nonprofits and grassroots efforts. Amid the hardships that define life on the streets of Las Vegas, a network of nonprofits and dedicated individuals emerges as a lifeline, weaving threads of hope through the city's harshest realities. The Salvation Army of Southern Nevada, for example, operates emergency shelters each night for over 1,000 residents, providing not only food and hygiene kits, but also a rare sense of safety and stability in a world where both are scarce. Catholic Charities delivers over 2,000 meals daily, transforming simple nourishment into tangible hope, a reminder that someone cares and that survival is still possible. The Shade Tree stands as a sanctuary for women and children fleeing violence and homelessness, offering crisis care, counseling, and the resources to rebuild confidence and reclaim independence. Street Teens, a smaller yet formidable organization, focuses on at-risk youth aged 12 to 21, providing shelter, guidance, and mentorship for those navigating the uncertainties of life after foster care or abusive homes. Even the city's glittering casinos, symbols of wealth and excess, have begun to play a role in change. MGM and Caesars have implemented programs to hire and train individuals who were once homeless, offering not just employment, but a renewed sense of dignity and purpose. Each of these efforts, though distinct, shares a singular mission: to restore humanity one life at a time. It is in these acts, meals served, tents repaired, skills taught, trust rebuilt, that a homeless documentary finds its true power. It is not merely the recounting of suffering that captivates, but the resilience and generosity that shine through it, the courage of those who refuse to give up, and the compassion of those who refuse to look away. Through these stories, viewers witness that real change is possible when empathy meets action, and that even in the shadows of Las Vegas, humanity can still flourish. Community outreach and individual stories. Through the labyrinth of Las Vegas's alleys, underpasses, and sprawling encampments, outreach teams move tirelessly, carrying more than just supplies, they carry hope. Water bottles, blankets, hygiene kits, these are tools, but their true impact lies in the presence of a human hand, a listening ear, a voice that says, "You are seen, you are not alone." Many of these outreach workers are former homeless individuals themselves, living proof that recovery is possible and that one life can break a cycle of despair to lift another. Their journeys embody the profound cycle of aid and resilience, bridging experience with empathy. Programs like Pathways Home step in to prevent crises before they deepen. Families on the brink receive rent support, counseling, and job placement, showing that sometimes a single helping hand can keep an entire household from falling into the streets. Volunteers, churches, and small nonprofits stitch together a fragile safety net in a city where gaps in support can mean the difference between life and death. Every interaction holds weight. Every shared meal, every conversation, every gesture of care is a quiet rebellion against the indifference that often surrounds homelessness. These moments remind us that the people living on the streets are not faceless statistics. They are fathers, mothers, children, and veterans. They are individuals with histories, dreams, and the enduring capacity to rebuild when given even the smallest lifeline. In a homeless documentary, these stories are the heartbeat, the evidence that empathy, persistence, and connection can illuminate even the darkest corners of Las Vegas. Faces behind the numbers, behind every statistic lies a life, a story that cannot be reduced to numbers. Each person wandering the streets of Las Vegas carries a journey etched with struggle and resilience. A veteran, haunted by battles fought long ago, walks the pavement seeking a sense of belonging he can no longer find at home. A mother fights daily to feed her child, making impossible choices between food, shelter, and safety. Her hands raw and worn from endless labor. A worker, recently laid off after years of service, watches life unravel slowly, one missed rent payment at a time, feeling the steady erosion of security and hope. These are the faces that populate a homeless documentary, not as objects of pity, but as testimonies to the human spirit. They demand attention, not because they are victims, but because they are witnesses to a society that often looks away. Each story embodies courage, persistence, and an unyielding desire for dignity. Reminders that homelessness is not a moral failing, but a challenge imposed by circumstance and systemic neglect. In documenting these lives, we uncover the humanity that persists in the shadows, urging viewers to see, to feel, and ultimately, to act. The call to conscience. Walking along the Las Vegas Strip, it is easy to be mesmerized by the flashing lights, the music spilling from casinos, and the spectacle of endless entertainment. The city dazzles, promising excitement, fortune, and escape. But beneath the glittering veneer, countless lives remain invisible, caught in cycles of hunger, exhaustion, and despair. True beauty, however, is not found in neon or luxury. It is discovered in the act of noticing those left in the shadows and acknowledging the humanity of each person who struggles to survive. Empathy is the real challenge. Every individual has a name, a story, and an inherent right to live with dignity. A homeless documentary does more than record suffering. It serves as a mirror, reflecting society's responsibilities back at us. It asks difficult questions that demand reflection. How can a city so wealthy, so radiant, and seemingly boundless in opportunity leave so many behind? How can we, as a society, create the conditions that allow every person, regardless of circumstance, the chance to thrive, to rebuild, to hope? These questions cannot be ignored, for behind every statistic is a heartbeat. Behind every shadowed figure is a human life yearning to be seen. The call to conscience is clear. We must look, we must listen, and we must act. Only then can the glittering promise of Las Vegas, and of any city, be measured not by lights or wealth, but by the compassion and dignity extended to all its people. Conclusion: hope amid despair. Las Vegas dazzles the world with its neon glow, its grand shows, and the ceaseless hum of fortune. But beneath this glittering facade, life is fragile, precarious, and often unseen. Thousands of residents wander the streets, alleys, and underground tunnels, not chasing luck or fleeting wealth, but simply seeking warmth, safety, and the fundamental dignity of being acknowledged. Their existence is quiet, yet profound, a testament to human resilience amid relentless adversity. Each day survived, each small act of courage becomes a story of endurance, a beacon of hope in a city built on illusion. At its core, a homeless documentary is more than a chronicle of hardship. It is a call to conscience. It demands that we recognize the human lives behind every statistic. People who love, dream, struggle, and persevere. They deserve acknowledgement, empathy, and opportunity, not invisibility. Through their stories, we are reminded that society is measured not by towers of wealth or glittering lights, but by the care and compassion extended to those who are often left behind. And as the neon lights fade each night, the city returns to its quiet, leaving behind those who remain unseen. The question lingers, pressing and unavoidable. What story will we help write for these lives? Will we walk past, or will we step forward, extend a hand, and ensure that hope, however fragile, is not lost? This is the true purpose of a homeless documentary: to awaken the conscience, inspire action, and illuminate the enduring strength of the human spirit, even in the darkest corners of Las Vegas.